then Mataji's, Kirti Mataji, Kashish Mataji, and Vijay Mataji, and then we will see later. So let's start. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Adhaschordhavam prasritastasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravala adhascha mulani anusantatani karmanubandini manushya. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society."
And our pranam, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, or glory to Srila Prabhupada. Na rupam aisha tathopala bhayate nanto na tadirna cha sampratistha asavatham inam su vidudha mulam asanga sustena dredhina chitava tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuya tam eva chadyam purusham prapaday yata pravitrti prastha purani. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosa adhyamata nitya vinivrata kama divana ver vimukta sukha dukha samjaner gachanti amudha padam avyam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are free from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who are unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to the eternal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, text number 6. Natat bhasayate suryo nashansho kana pavakaha yakyatva na nivartante tat dhama paramam mama. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Text number 7. Mama vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana shashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmented parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with 6 senses, which includes the mind. Rich.
Hare Krishna, text 8. Shariram yadavapnoti yadchap utkramatishvaraha गृहीतैत्वानि संयाति या vayurgandha ivashayat. The living entity in this material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits to take another. Text 9. Shotram chakshusprshanam cha rasanam घ्राणमेव च adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another cross body, obtain a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoy a particular set of sense objects. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam to all devotees. Text number 10. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam vagunanvitam vimurhananu pasyanti jnana chakshushaha. Translation. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. One whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. 11. Yatanto yoginasyanam pashyanta atmana avasthitam yatanto apkritatmano nainam pashyanta chetasaha. The indivering transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 12. Yadadityagatam tejo jagad bhashyate khilam chandra. Oh, I missed one. No. Yata chandramashi yata yagno tatejo vidhi mamakam. 12. The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world come from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Dhamavishya cha bhutani dharyamyamojisha pushnami cha ausadhihi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakah. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 14. Aham Vaishnavānaro bhūtva pranainam deham aritha ashritha pranapana samayuktha pachamya annam chaturvidham. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Text 15. Sarvasya cham hrudi sannivistho mathas smrithir jnanam apohanam cha vedischa sarvair aham eva vedhyo vedhantakrit vedavid evacham chaham. I am seated in everyone's head, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Thank you. Arundhati Mataji, want to read? And then once you last Prabhu can read.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Okay. Ji.
Okay.
16.
Okay, 16. Debab emau
Purusho loke saraschaksharati.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavat Pranam. Debab emau purushau loke kasara Chakshara eva cha Kṛṣṇah Śrāvani Bhutani Kuta Shatu Kṛṣṇa Uchate. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Okay, the 17. Uttamaha purushastava anyha paramatma te udartaha yo lokantramam avishaya vivaharate yabaya is baraha. Beside those two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three world, and is maintaining them. Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji.
Yes, Mr. Prabhu. Jyoti Mataji.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Ji.
Yasmat Srakam Atito Ham Akshara Api Kathamaha Atosmi Loke Veda Cha Pratatipa Purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in Vedas as that supreme person. Haribol. Yomam.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yomam evam asamudha janati purushottamam sa sarva veda vajati mam sarva bahena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He is therefore engaged himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Karina, you want to read?
Which part am I reading?
Yeah.
Last one, 20.
Like right here?
Yeah.
Iti guhyatamam sastram idam uktam mayanaga etan budva buddhiman syat kita kityas cha bharata.
Yeah.
This is the most
confidential
part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one. It is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and
his endeavors
will know perfection.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Om Tat Sat Iti Śrīmad-Bhagavad-Gītāshu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadasha Dhyayaha. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta translations to the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, entitled Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. So again, thank you so much to all the Vaishnavas for joining on this auspicious day of Ekadashi in the month of Purushottama. So it's like, you know, icing on top of cake, spiritually. So it's very, very potent. Madhavatithi Bhakti Janani Bhajana Anukula. These special dates in these special months are very, very auspicious, very, very potent, very, very surcharged with the mercy of the Lord. As we discussed, Ekadashi is basically mercy personified, the compassion of the Supreme Lord. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading and hearing Bhagavatam, by chanting the holy names, is the best way to engage ourselves on these dates. So with that, let's start with reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Mad eka bandhu, mad sangin, mad guru, mad mahadhana, mad nistarka, mad bhagya, mad ananda namostute. Shri Sanatana Goswami is praying this towards Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, my only friend, Mad Eka Bandhu. Who is that? Srimad Bhagavatam. Mad Sangin, my companion. Mad Guru, my teacher, my Guru. Mad Mahadana. Dhana means wealth. You are the Mahadhan. You are the topmost wealth. Mar Nistaraka. You are the only way I can be saved from this world. Mad Bhagya, you are the good fortune. Mad Ananda, you are my happiness. Namastute. O Śrīmad Bhagavatam, I offer my humble pranams to you. So with that, let's also chant the verses for Purushottam month. Govardhanadaram vande Gopala Goparupinam Gokula Utsavameshanam Govindam Gopika Priyam Vande Navaghana Shama Dvibhujam Muralidharam Pitambaradharam Devam Sharadam Purushottamam. So let's study Canto 10, Chapter 14, Prayers of Lord Brahma. So we read till text number 25 yesterday. So we will read the next verse in this series, that is text number 26. Ajnana-sangyau bhava-bandha-mokshau dvau nama-nanyau staratagya bhavat ajashra chiti atmani kevale pare Vicharyamani Tarnav Ivahani. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The conception of material bondage. The conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Being outside the scope of true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from the matter and always fully conscious. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. Purport: material bondage is illusion because the living entity actually has no real relationship with the material world. Because of false ego, the conditioned soul identifies himself with matter. Therefore, so-called liberation is simply the giving up of an illusion rather than release from the actual bondage. Yet, even if we think that the suffering of material illusion is real and the liberation is thus a meaningful release from suffering, the mere absence of material existence is still insignificant compared to the achievement of factual spiritual life, which is the positive, eternal reality opposed to the negative illusion of material life. Ultimately, Krishna consciousness or pure love of Godhead is the only significant, meaningful, and permanent status of every living entity. Since the darkness of night is caused by the absence of the sun, one would not experience night within the sun itself, nor would one experience individual days separated by nights. Similarly, within the pure living entity, there is no material darkness, and thus no experience of liberation from such darkness. And the conditioned soul comes to this platform of pure consciousness. He becomes fit to associate with the Supreme Pure, the personality of Godhead Himself in the Lord's own abode. Hare Krishna. So, in continuation with the last verse, yesterday we were discussing that, sometimes we mistake, a person in illusion mistakes a rope to be a snake and a snake to be a rope. Night to be dark and dark to be night. Sorry, night as day and day as night. This is illusion. Is on, I think one bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur, I believe, that asatyera satya kori mani. Because of this illusion, I was thinking the impermanent as permanent. What is this impermanent? Anything in relation to body, anything in relation to the impure consciousness, whether it is home, property, so-called relationships. If it is not in relation to Krishna, ultimately, Adi Antavantu Kaunteya. They have an Adi and they have an Anta, whether it is a so-called material pleasure or anything else. But because of our illusion, we think, oh, it is permanent. Asatyera satya kori mani. Asatya ko satya maan lete hain. Untruth or false we think as the real truth. And that leads to attachment. And when that attachment is severed, which will it be severed at some point, then there is lamentation or hankering. And therefore, a conditioned soul is basically caught up in this ignorance. But what about a pure soul? A pure soul, for him or her, who identifies with the pure consciousness, with Krishna consciousness, and understands what is the real reality, Bhakti, Bhagavan, and Bhakti. That only significant, meaningful, permanent status of every living entity is pure Krishna consciousness, pure love of Godhead. So when one understands that aspect, then one becomes Jivan Mukta. Then one is not bewildered with the ups and downs, because ups and downs will come in everyone's life. Like Pandavas were not bewildered in ups and downs. Prahlad Maharaj was not bewildered, even in the pit of venomous snakes, even when he was being trampled over by such huge elephants, the Diggaja, the four And then we read in so great detail. There have been like, it is said that Sarva Upaya, he used all the ways to kill Prahlad. But was Prahlad very troubled? Was Prahlad very feeling, hey, why me? No, a pure soul never thinks like that. A pure soul say, okay, Krishna's arrangement. Whether it's dark or light or dark, it's just a hand of the Supreme Lord. So a pure soul is always happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma is always happy. Na shochati na kancha, neither laments nor hankers. So, but that state is for a pure consciousness. We are aspiring. I am not in that pure consciousness, but we are aspiring. This Krishna consciousness movement is meant to take us to that consciousness, provided if we take the process sincerely. And for such a person, he becomes fit to associate with the Lord, with the Supreme Pure, and in the Lord's own abode. We just read 10.4.8, 10.14.8. Tattenu kampam susamikshaman. That's a memory verse from this chapter. Mukti padaya sadaya bhak. That becomes a rightful recipient. A good son becomes a rightful recipient of the inheritance from the parents. Similarly, a good devotee naturally becomes the rightful inheritance, goes back home, back to Godhead. So that's Lord Brahma is explaining in this verse that we should try to become from the impure state to pure state. And in that pure state, we'll be happy. In the impure state, in the illusion state, we are just, we think absence of misery is happiness. We discussed that in one of our sessions. So we haven't even explored the positive path. As the disciples of Prabhupada are mentioning here, the mere absence of material existence is insignificant. A devotee does not aspire for absence from material existence. He aspires for further the positive eternal reality, going up the XY curve. So there is a negative axis, means suffering, material, adi bhautik, adi that means, oh, my boss is troubling, oh, corona is troubling, this is troubling. A devotee, it's not just the prayer, okay, just help me from corona, help me so I don't lose my job. That's like just getting to the zero level. The positive aspect is the eternal spiritual reality. So that's the point here. Any other comments or questions anyone has? Okay, who is feeling very, very energetic and inspired to read today?
I can read, Prabhu.
For those who didn't read yesterday, so the goal is that everyone should get chance at least once a week. So yes, Kashish Mataji, you can start, and then Raghu Prabhu can read. Afterwards.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Text 27. Tvamatmanam param matva paramatmatna mevacha atma punarbahirmurkya aho agyajana tagyata. Report by the disciples of His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. Prabhu, shall I continue to Papa?
Yes, please.
Brahma is amazed at the gross ignorance of conditioned souls who consider Lord Krishna's supreme spiritual body to be material. Ignorant of the spiritual form of the Lord, such persons also consider their own material bodies to be self, and therefore they conclude that spiritual reality is to be found somewhere beyond the Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna. Sometimes, such fools consider Lord Krishna to be one of many individual souls who together constitute a single impersonal spiritual entity. Unfortunately, such such speculators are not inclined to hear from the Lord himself or from the Lord's authorized representatives, such as Lord Brahma. Because they whimsically speculate on the nature of the Supreme, the ultimate result is confusion and ignorance, which they euphemistically describe as the Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading. So here, Lord Brahma, out of great humility, is actually saying that those who are trying to see the Lord by their own speculation, the Lord may be, present right before, but foolish people, as mentioned here, the foolishness of ignorant, and this word, comes multiple times. Vimura nan anupashyati, pashyanti jnana chakshusha. So this Kunti Maharani prays that, Bhagavad Gita says that 3-4 times, Gajendra says that, Lord Brahma says that, all the devotees say that we cannot understand Krishna. I am a fool. How can I understand Krishna? I can't understand my own self. I can't understand a tiny thing. So how can we understand? I am infinitesimal. The Lord is infinite. I can't understand the Lord. So we should not try to understand the Lord with our speculation or our whimsical nature. Rather, we should try to learn from the Lord himself. Bhagavad Gita is what? Krishna himself. Bhagavatam is what? Krishna himself. So that is the bona fide way. And through his representatives like Lord Brahma, like the bona fide Guru Parampara. Without that, we cannot try to understand Krishna. So the spiritual, the purport is mentioned, the spiritual reality is to be found somewhere else beyond the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I had this kind of, conversation. One of my old friends, some people say, oh, Bhagavad Gita, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Oh, it's not Bhagavan. It's some, say, spiritual entity within Bhagavan, or is some kind of, it's not, Krishna doesn't mean that he's Bhagavan. And that's what is mentioned. Some spiritual entity is speaking. Someone is speaking there. But Bhagavan is something bigger, something you cannot, understand. Something, it cannot be so simple. How can you say it's so simple, Krishna is God? Well, it is so simple. Why do we make things complex? It is simple for simple, Prabhupada said, and very complex for those who want to complicate it. They can do research in all the libraries of the world and still be confused. Well, who has more intelligence than Brahma? So Brahmaji is concluding, it is the words of Lord Brahma, the supreme secondary creator, the chief engineer of this material world, whose body of pure intelligence. If he is saying so, better we accept it. We will accept, oh, Harvard Business Review says this. Oh, Stanford studies said that this is right. Right? If tomorrow, if some studies say, okay, CDC says that we have to do this to prevent ourselves from corona. Will everyone say, well, why should I follow CDC? I'll do my own research, right? What will you call such a person? Well, everyone will follow pretty much. If they don't follow, then it's kind of, so all the experts have done, Brahmaji, the topmost expert, has done all the research, has even, failed in his attempt to see Krishna somewhere else. And the Lord has taught him a nice lesson. And after that, he is, of course, he is doing that arrangement. The Lord is doing that arrangement to teach us so that we don't get confused that, oh, is the one who is stealing butter God? Can he be God? Yes, absolutely. Can he, the one playing with this boys, be God? Yes, absolutely. Simple for simple. And if we make it complex, then we will keep trying to understand and we'll never come to any understanding, and the whole life will just go in vain. Any other comments, questions anyone has?
In the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, chapter 17, very first slok, Arjuna asks, basically, those do not follow the scripture and they just worship according to their own way, And then he asks, are they in the mode of goodness or passion or ignorance, And there also, Lord Krishna explains the same thing. And this verse 27 is pretty much is saying here in the last line that because they whimsically speculate on the nature of the Supreme, their ultimate result is confusion and ignorance. So basically that same thing.
So true. Yeah, this point comes in many, many verses in Bhagavad Gita actually. That we cannot Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Grihadindriya. We cannot understand Krishna through our blunt senses. Well, we can't see what's beyond this wall. What to speak of understanding the Supreme Lord. Sevan mukhe hi jivado. But when we serve Krishna, starting with our tongue, that means chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, speaking Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, reading that, then Swayam eva sfurti adaha. The Lord will choose to reveal himself. So there are many, many verses which speak the same point. Thank you for bringing that up, Prabhu. Okay, let's read 28. Yes, Raghu Prabhu, you want to read?
Hare Krishna, devotees. Text 28. Antar bhave ananta bhavantam eva tat tyajanto mriganti santa asantam api anti ahim antarena santam gunam tam kem yu yanti santa. Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Jai to the disciples. O unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a robe lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? Purport. One may argue that a person should cultivate self-realization and at the same time pursue sense gratification for the material body. This proposition is herein refuted by the example of misidentifying a rope as a snake. One who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful and thinks of the so-called snake. But upon discovering that the so-called snake is actually a rope, he experiences a different emotion, relief, and can then ignore the rope. Similarly, because we misunderstand the material body to be self, we are experiencing many emotions in relation to the body. Upon discovering, however, that the body is simply a bag of material chemicals, we carefully note how this illusion was created and then lose interest in the body. Discovering that we are actually an eternal soul within the body, we naturally focus our attention on the real self. Those who are saintly and wise always cultivate Krishna consciousness. Spiritual knowledge, having transcended the foolish misidentification of the body as the self. Such Krishna conscious persons go on to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who dwells within the material body as Super Soul, the witness and guide of every living entity. Realization of the Super Soul and the individual soul is so pleasing and satisfying that a self-realized person automatically gives up everything irrelevant to his spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Raghu Prabhu, for reading this wonderful verse. Many, many important lessons are there in this verse. So, Lord Brahma is saying that both things don't go, hand in hand. If one is trying to make spiritual progress or understand the real truth, then first one has to, kind of understand that this body is not a source of happiness. This body is said to be like a temple of misery from the material perspective. Like, just imagine so much challenges are there uh, with the body. From a one who is trying to enjoy the body, then spiritual life becomes difficult. As Prabhupada says, sense and gratification and bhakti go ill together. It's like someone is sick with cough and cold, and the doctor gives him or her the medicine. The medicine will help the person to improve. But if the person, continues to eat ice creams and colas and junk food and fried food and heavy things, will the person get healed? No. So therefore, one has to gradually, come to an understanding that the things which are not conducive, we have to give that up. As the last line of the purport says, that automatically gives up everything irrelevant to his spiritual advancement. So it's a gradual transition. So we are not, we focus more on the positive. So if one is sincerely trying to take the positives, and the positive mean reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting the holy name, reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, then naturally one will understand through Prabhupada's words, through the power of holy name, taking Krishna Prasad, then naturally one will lose interest from the wrong things, which are not conducive, which are wasting our time. So that intelligence Krishna will give if we are sincere. So, and that is what is the process to understand that the real happiness is within, to understand that a real friend, a real master, a real witness, the super soul is present. So rather than trying to search for happiness outside, running in different directions here and there, the treasure is within. So all we have to do is to take to the process of bhakti or Krishna consciousness. And the purport very nicely says, only the wise people take it. So all of you are very, very intelligent people, very, very intelligent and saintly, because they only try. They are only trying to understand the real mission of life. Others are so busy in so-called enjoyment. It doesn't give real enjoyment. And we may have all experienced that at some point. The so-called anything where people try to find so-called enjoyment, whether it is alcohol or gambling or clubs or discos. They lose their health, lose their wealth, lose their consciousness, lose the culture. Everything is lost. What is the enjoyment? So the real happiness lies within, in the process of bhakti. So we must try to understand that and follow that. In the beginning, it may these are the symptoms of a pure soul. A pure soul is always in bliss, but in the beginning there may be sometimes challenging, like because we may be covered with the jaundice, and I may not be able to experience the sweet sugar cane juice as sweet. It may appear to me as bitter. Why? Because there's not a problem with the sugar cane juice. A healthy person will experience the sweetness of sugar cane juice. But since I am diseased, and what's the disease? Material illusion, material attachments. But so what should I do? Should I give up the medicine? No, I have to continue taking, even if it may be bitter in the beginning. If I take, I'll get healthy, I'll get healthier. Chetodarpana marjanam, the cleansing will happen through the Bhagavatam, through the holy name. And one day, with the sincerity and the seriousness with which one takes, one will experience the sweetness of the process as well. Any comments, questions? Okay, Babu Kanin Prabhu, you want to read next verse?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Atapi te deva padam bhujadvaya prasada lesang grihita yevahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya yekopi chiram visinavam. Translation: My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Purpose: This translation from Srila Prabhupada Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, Chapter 6, Text 84. Lord Krishna is very eager to bestow his mercy upon the conditioned living being who are uselessly struggling with Lord's illusionary energy, Maya. The conditioned soul struggled for happiness through sense gratification and for knowledge through mental speculation. Both processes ultimately bring him to morose and hopeless condition. If the conditioned soul surrenders to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and thus acquires even the trace of his causeless mercy, the whole situation is changed and the living entity can begin his real life of bliss and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for reading this nice verse. So, the question may come, the Lord is very, very eager to shower his mercy. And without his mercy, we cannot understand. That's what Lord Brahma is saying. Even slight trace of the mercy of the Lord, of his lotus feet, can help one to understand the greatness of the Lord. It's a very nice verse in another Brahma Samhita, Vedescha Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau. One can study lots and lots of Vedas, lots and lots of Puranas, but still one will not be able to understand. By thinking, oh, I am intelligent, I am a PhD, I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a very smart person, I can understand. No, that's not the criteria. The criteria is bhakti, the criteria is mercy. So now let's try to understand this with a whiteboard. Because often people say, well, who is the Lord merciful upon? Right? Is the Lord merciful upon everyone? What do you say?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Rakesh Prabhu says yes. Then why everyone is not able to understand Lord? Because if Lord is merciful upon everyone, and then it is said even favored by slight trace, they'll understand the Lord. Understanding means they'll follow the process of bhakti. Right? Does that make sense?
Right.
So what do you say now? I'm acting as a devil's advocate. What do you say? Anyone?
What is the question, Prabhu?
Who will repeat the question? Let me see if everyone understood the question. Who will repeat the question?
If Lord is merciful on everyone equally,
Lord is merciful to everyone, correct?
then why many people are not understanding, right, bro?
Yeah, kind of.
Prabhuji, Lord is merciful to his devotees.
Lord is merciful to all, but more merciful to devotees.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, everyone. Lord is merciful to everyone. I just read in Canto 1 today. So Lord has both Asura and Lord has the kind of children in the class of Asura and obedient class. So he shows himself in different form. If for the Asura form, he has a different form, and for the obedient form classes, he has a different form. So people will understand as per their ability and wisdom. So that's how he bestow his mercy upon the ability and wisdom of the person. That's my understanding.
Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think, yes, he showers the mercy on each and everyone, but because of our ignorance and the lack of knowledge, probably not able to understand that.
Very nice. One was speaking.
The soil gives all the fruits.
Sorry, Apple Pro, you are breaking. Your voice is breaking.
So it's like rain. It rains everywhere, but in desert nothing grows. But in the fertile soil, we'll see fruits, flowers, and everything is green. So it depends on the receptor, whether they take the mercy or not, or whether can use it for good purpose or not.
Thank you. Thank you. So Lord is merciful, and Lord is very, very eager to shower his mercy upon everyone. That's the first line of Prabhupada's purport from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is basically Prabhupada's purport. The Lord is very eager to bestow his mercy upon the conditioned living beings who are uselessly struggling. So the mercy is available. But the question comes, how much eager are we to receive the mercy? That's the main question. So if we are eager, then the Lord will arrange, as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport of Dhruv Maharaj, that if someone is looking for the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, then I will send Narad Muni. Right? Dhruva was looking for a bona fide spiritual master, the Lord arranged. So he'll get the association of devotees, and that's basically the mercy. And then he will start the process of bhakti, which will help further to increase the eagerness, the sincerity, the seriousness. So it's like a cyclical process. One will take more seriously, one will get more mercy. Yatamam prapadyante tam sateh bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I will reciprocate accordingly. If you just want to come for, hey, I want a good job, Lord, please give me a good job. I really, really want a good job. Okay, you'll get a good job. So it's like a cyclical process. This will continue. Our anartha nivritti will happen. If depending upon one's sincerity, one's seriousness, one's eagerness to receive mercy, one's eagerness to receive association, and all the other limbs also. I'm not writing everything. Seva, sadhana, chanting, reading, hearing, everything, basically all the limbs of bhakti, which is included here. One will be more eager, more hankering, crying for the Lord, crying for his mercy, more, sadhu sangha, taking shelter of bona fide spiritual master, then more mercy of Lord, more bhakti, more seva, and it goes on and on. And that's basically Paramananda. That's eternal bliss. Does that help? Any comments, questions around this? Additions? Yes, Prabir Prabhu, please speak. You're on mute. Please unmute yourself. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, please speak.
So there is a verse in the 9th chapter in Bhagavad Gita where he says, Samohang Sarvabhuteshu Name Deshrasti na priya. Je bhajanti tumang bhakta moite teshu chappa. So that verse also mentioned what you said. And I just heard today His Holiness Shachinandan Maharaj, his first meeting with Srila Prabhupada. So he asked Srila Prabhupada one question, that you are saying that Krishna is all merciful. Then why he created the Maya and we are suffering? So Prabhupada told him, Krishna didn't create Maya, you created Maya. So Maharaj said, I didn't understand initially, but later on I understand that I want to be in the Maya. That's why I created Maya. Krishna never created Maya.
Thank you so much. Anything else before we stop for today?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just remember one quote from Prabhupada when one devotee asked that, Prabhuji, like Srila Prabhupada, we are in the Krishna consciousness, but we fall down in Maya. At that time, Prabhupada said, no, you are wrong. We are in Maya, sometime we become a Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we will pause here and continue tomorrow with so hopefully we can complete this chapter in the next 3 days. And then Monday onwards, we will begin the fresh canto 8. So you can offer your canto 8s to the lotus feet of the Lord. And we'll start canto 8 from Monday. And I'm hoping like we'll be able to complete at least the prayers for Brahma in the next 3 days. Okay. Thank you so much. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.